I would say the pride that we had for our city in the 90s was unlike any other that I've seen, right? And I know each generation makes that argument. But, I grew up in the era of Barry Sanders, right? And actually had the opportunity to watch him play. And not really appreciate it then, but still look back and say that's one of the fondest memories that I've ever had, right? In your own backyard, you get to watch, in my opinion, the greatest running back to ever play the game of football, right? Aside from that, not to mention, they had just left, but, I can remember being a baby at the Silverdome, and I actually was right around that time born when the Pistons won the championship here in Pontiac. Or not far from Pontiac even, right? But they had played in the Silverdome for so many years. I mean, one of the first WrestleManias, right, was at the Silverdome, and that was huge. It was right here in this city. And so there was a lot of pride around being from Pontiac. I think it was a destination location, I guess is the best way to put it. And it shifted from that sense. And I think I really want to help get back to that point. I grew up down the street from Jefferson. So I grew up down the street from Jefferson Middle School. Even though I never went there, obviously I grew up on the south side. So I grew up on the south side and went to school on the north side. So I caught a lot of heat for that. But it was still a good time, man. It was learning experiences. It gave me the ability to understand the entire scope of the city, right? I got the lay of the land, if you will. And so at Madison, which is still actually a school, it's Pontiac Middle School right now. Some fond memories there. My grandmother actually worked there. Miss Alexander used to be Miss Weatherspoon. Shout out to her, man. She's a matriarch, no doubt. But a matriarch, no doubt. But I would say experiences at Madison, going over to Northern, playing the sport of football, trying to play basketball. I wasn't very good back then, but it really just, it was a sense of community. It was always the Northern Central game. I was talking to one of my close friends about that actually. And so just a quick thought, crosstown rivalry, right? And in our freshman year, we got popped, right? It was Northern versus Central. And we got popped, right? They had some all-city, all-state type players, We grew a little bit, under the tutelage of the infamous Coach King, come next year. And it wasn't the same story, the next time around, man. And I still love all of the guys that I played with and against to this day, man. But those were experiences that I think the city really needs. Arts, Beats, and Eats was an experience that we had access to that we don't have anymore. What were Dream Cruise used to be. Not to say that it's not still a cool event, but we really had an opportunity to be a part of what was the beginning of the What Were Dream Cruise. And so there were plenty of things for us to do, plenty of things for us to take pride in, to participate in. And somewhere along the lines it changed, it fell off or whatever the case is, but I'm hoping that I can be one of many to help bring that back to the community of Pontiac. For me, I would say my driving force more than anything else, I think, is my family and a family legacy. I care about the city in its entirety. I think that things significantly have to change in order for my future family, my current daughter, my future family to even have an opportunity to experience what will be a great Pontiac. And I've never, in particular, I came back to the city, and every time that I did come back to the city, I would always drive on Crystal Lake, which is the street that I grew up on. And I would drive past my old home. And I'd sit there for a while, and it looked weird, and you got to be careful sometimes, you know, when you're in certain places. But, you know, I would sit there for a while, and I would just envision what the city meant to me and what it could mean going forward, right? I wouldn't say that, it's not a numbers thing. It's not about can you become rich. It's not about how much money you make. Ultimately, in the process of doing good things, if you do make money, then that's a really cool thing. But for me, it's raising the quality of standard of living for the people in the city. And that's the most important thing. I look at a community that's struggling in a lot of different ways, and it genuinely hurts me to see people in that place, especially because I've had an opportunity to do pretty well. And I hope to do more and accomplish more, but it's not really worth it if I can't bring other people with me, in my opinion. And for me, that's the people in my hometown city of Pontiac. With regards to the economy, just in the 70s, which wasn't that long ago, mind you, right? The economy was in a place where you would think that, similar to Detroit, Pontiac had a booming economy. And then you take the 30 years between the 70s and the early 2000s, and I think what we did was we relied too much on one particular industry. I think when a city or a community relies on one industry, and it's a big one at that, what it is it's an unsustainable model, because globalization is happening whether we want it to or not, right? And so companies are here to make more money, and they made the decision that they had to make. And really, while I understand, I don't, because the people that I'm closest to, this location, this community lost 50 to 70,000 jobs or so as an estimate, and it hurt us. And for the last couple of decades, we haven't been in the position where we've serviced ourselves by diversifying the industries that we focus on within the city. And so Oakland County is quickly becoming a tech hub, as is Pontiac following that suit. And I think it's really important that we move in that direction, but I think the answer is not relying on big businesses to do big things, but small businesses ultimately doing big things. And if we can get to a point to where we service our own community with different businesses, then that's a sustainable model and we'll be in good shape.
Paid for by the committee to elect Chris Jackson.